Welcome, everyone. This is the Divine Feminine Ascension Council, and we are coming to you today, as always, via the Inner Vibers Club on Clubhouse. And I'm here with my beautiful friend Wendy and with also our beautiful friend John, who is the owner of the Inner Vibers Club. So, hello to the two of you.
Hello.
And
Hello, hello.
Hi, and today we want to talk about Christmas and the Ascension, and maybe also a little bit about the solstice, since it's actually today, and I feel it's very tied into the energies of Christmas right now, um,
Definitely.
particularly this year, because it feels like there's a lot of cleansing going on, and I feel people are very riled up. Even myself, I'm feeling still very
Mm,
edgy and a little uncomfortable, with
yes.
these energies at this time within my physical body. Mostly within my physical body. There's some uncomfort that is going on and happening, and I feel it's just going from the full moon that we just had through to the solstice that we're in now, through to Christmas,
Hmm.
which has, for me, always has a particular type of energy, around it as well. Yeah, and we know Christmas, there are quite a few programs that people are running in their fields around Christmas,
No,
which make
what?
it
Just a
difficult for
few.
some people.
Just a few
Just a
belief
few,
systems,
just a
just a
few.
few
Yeah,
constructs around Christmas. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I
definitely.
feel this year is the year to not do this, because from the solstice and the full moon, I feel we're so raw and we're so vulnerable. And I feel this is this is a Christmas to try and keep it small, with people
Agreed.
that you know that your energy feels good with, as much as you can. That's what I'm getting. What about you, Wendy?
Yeah, definitely. Small, simple. That's the word
Yeah.
that has been coming to me. I mean, we usually do it up pretty good. We've got 4 kids. Um, and I do a lot. We do a lot of gifts. We open a lot of gifts, and
Yeah.
we do stockings, and we kind of do the whole shebang. Everybody, I think every family has kind of, after a time, you kind of have created your own unique ceremonies, rituals around it, based
Mm,
on the
mm,
beliefs that have come together in the family. But it's for the most part, we've always done pretty much the standard thing. Well, this year, we've got a very different lifestyle right now. We don't have a house to have everybody over, and so we're going to one of our grown kids apartments. And I kept the gift giving is going to be very small and simple, and all of the gifts are the kind of the pledge was, or the promise was, and actually my 21-year-old kind of made me promise this, that all the gifts would be something useful, right? Like nothing. And I
I
do
love
try to do that
this.
anyway. But anyway, so the whole energy
Yeah.
is definitely more simple, and like you said, smaller, but smaller in a more intimate way, smaller in a
Yeah.
easier way. Yeah, that we're not like killing ourselves, trying to make everything
Exactly. We want
perfect.
exactly. And it's not something that we can sustain any longer, is the way that during Christmas holidays, normally you try to make everyone feel comfortable.
Right.
And the fact that there's a buildup of many worlds in one world, energetically, you see the difference between people more now than previously.
True. Yeah.
um, it's just fast checking itself, this coming together. Either you're part of this world or this world or this world. There's lots of them in one. And it's just not possible to make everyone feel comfortable and to merge it all and still stay in your sovereignty and your boundaries. So
Definitely. Yeah. And I think
don't try it. don't,
yeah,
don't try to do it.
right. And
It's not
I
gonna
think
work. I'm
And
sorry,
I
it's not
think
gonna
there's
work.
more of an energy too, to be kind of harsh. There's more of an energy of we just don't care what other
Mm-hmm.
people think right now. Like we're, and that's kind of a harsh way to say it, but you know, really what it is, it's like you said, we're more in our sovereignty, and we
Mm,
want to do however we want to honor this time of year. We want to do it our way. And anybody
yeah.
who's got an issue with it can, can just go do their own thing if they want. But yeah, so John, what are your plans for Christmas? Are you hanging out where you're at?
I'm going to make lasagna pizza like I did last year.
We're making lasagna. We're making
Nice.
lasagna too. That's what we're doing.
Oh, nice,
That's
nice.
like
I,
a
I, I
tradition for
get
us.
I
Yeah.
get pizza. Yeah, Christmas lasagna sounds really good. Yeah, this is going to be my technically my third Christmas on technically on the road. I
Yeah.
spent my first. Yeah, it's pretty good. I spent my first Christmas after leaving home, after leaving the UK permanently in the Ukraine, and then I spent my next Christmas here in Portugal, and then I'm going to be spending this Christmas in Portugal. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm not really so involved because obviously the geographical distance, and between me and everybody else that I know,
Yeah.
everybody else that I know in essence.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I'm just feeling this year is more. Um, it's obviously it's coming back on itself, So there's things coming up, feelings and thoughts coming up that
Sure.
through the years. But I'm feeling there's a progression this time. Are you two feeling that there's more of a
Yes.
shift, a progressive shift forward this time?
Yep. I was
Definitely.
actually totally
Yeah.
thinking that when
Yeah.
Bianca was saying that too, because you know, before years past, our energy's always been okay. Now we have this holiday, then we have this holiday, and it's like this separation. And now it's all like a
Mm-hmm.
connection kind of amping through and into the next
Mhm.
one. So we're going to
Yep.
go through Christmas and into
Yep.
New Year's and then into whatever, 2022 is, promising to be if we haven't had enough, promising to be a year of major transformation. Yeah, it's definitely, I feel
Mhm.
And
that build up, John, definitely.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And to me, when you said New Year, um, it's so funny because what I immediately felt was that we're gonna, at least energetically, it's already shifted. We're gonna shift the whole New Year, more towards springtime, where it was originally situated, like, a lot of years before. And the
Right.
Chinese calendar still have it in February or March, somewhere around there. And I feel the energy right now are gonna be exactly like that. Like we're gonna go through this whole cleansing period. It's gonna be intense, and we're not gonna feel like we're actually starting into a new year up until I'm feeling February.
Mm-hmm.
So it's where we're like, okay, this new year has started, but we're gonna be still in this weird last year's energy, and we're gonna wonder
Okay.
why.
Kind of
That's
that
what it feels like. It feels
purgatory. I
like we're
feel
gonna,
like, yeah, I feel like we're in a sort of
yeah,
purgatory type kind of
yeah.
integration period, though obviously still moving forward. Yeah, so you're seeing that maybe the kind of renewed energy of a new year will come a little late, a
It
little
will come
later than,
later. Yeah,
yeah, agreed.
yeah. 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 And the energies are so like it really feels like because solstice and full moon have been so intense that this is the integration period that we need. We can't just integrate it and then start completely afresh by January 1st. At
Right,
least
right.
not this year.
The energies don't like to follow this Gregorian calendar
Yeah.
that we've
Yeah.
properly, warped and messed up anyway, but
Yeah.
I don't blame them.
Exactly, because why would we in the middle of winter start a new year, start afresh? Doesn't make
Sure,
sense.
you're right,
It's
that
not the
doesn't. I
shift of
never
the
thought of that.
season, it's not the shift of nature. Yeah.
That is true. That really
So
doesn't
it
make
makes
That,
sense.
much
that,
It's
more
when we're
sense to
dormant,
have it
it's when we're
later.
hibernating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that was part of why it has been shifted, because we're still in this sleepiness And then suddenly we're like, okay, it's the first. Let's start anew. And yet our energy field is not there yet.
Right.
We feel like we need to do all of this because it's a new year. And yet our field is not really ready. And then when the time comes to actually do it in March, then we're like, oh, but we've already started the year. What am I doing wrong? And then we start blaming, right? I mean, there's a reason why it had been shifted for sure
Right.
to the 1st of January. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and then we forget that we can probably start a new cycle with spring where what's spring about? It's about putting in seeds. Right now
Hmm.
we're in a period of rest, we're in a period of sleep, which we need because the energies have been intense. So don't plan, yourself fully out through the days ahead, through Christmas and through New Year's, because
Right.
you're gonna need the rest.
Don't think that you're going to have all this new energy when you wake up New Year's Day. It
Exactly.
just doesn't. Yeah. And you think about too, just
Yeah.
the whole mentality around that day is, they say everybody makes the New Year's resolutions and they last about, 2 weeks or a month maybe, and then it's too
Mhm.
much, and it's because we're supposed to still be in this restful period, this hibernation, and yet people try to take on new workout regimens. They try to drastically shift their diets, eat lighter, when our
Mhm.
bodies are telling
Mhm.
us to go ahead and eat a little bit heavier foods because we're
Mhm.
hibernating, and we want that
Yeah,
grounding, right? That heavy, in a good way, to ground us to Gaia right now so that we can just take a little break. So yeah, it's like
yeah,
doomed to fail, you know?
exactly. That's what it is. That resonates a lot. It's that,
Yeah.
yeah, we're set out to fail in this. And then when we actually should be doing it, we're not doing it because we feel we've done
We've
it
already
already and
given
we
up.
failed.
Right. We've already
We're
given
not,
up. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So
And
we're
and
not
beating
going
our
into this cool, fresh energy of spring.
right.
hmm
And we talked
At
about
least
we
not
talked
consciously.
right. No, that's true. It's definitely a deeper I think most people aren't aware on the conscious level. And we talk
hmm
about this a lot, but like the worst thing we can do on this, well, I shouldn't say worse. There are no mistakes, just choices, right? And but one of the things that we can do that does kind of delay us, or maybe just unnecessary delays, is beat ourselves up and think we're doing something wrong.
hmm
We're doing it wrong, we're screwing it up. And so yeah, when you
hmm
go into the actual energy of renewal, which we've always thought of spring as that anyway, then here we are in that
Yeah.
energy of failure, of beating
Yeah.
ourselves up because we couldn't drastically change our lives come New Year's Day
And then
with
we're
the
putting in those energetic seeds in springs that we don't want to put, right? We're
right.
putting in those seeds of failure and disappointment. It actually makes sense. We're
Yep.
not actually putting in the new seeds. We're taking the seeds that we've sown in February and we're putting them in.
Yep.
Um, you
The
know,
seeds of
the
I'm doing
the
something wrong.
disappointment. Exactly. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Hello, Eartha.
And I feel this is gonna, oh, and
Hi, Arthur.
I feel like this is gonna be the same energy around this Christmas. There's something about don't try to have it the old way that you always do it because you're going to be
Yeah.
disappointed because it's not going to work this year.
Right.
Um, Something has shifted so drastically over the last year that while it's still good to have our traditions, we need to be really aware about the fact that some of them may be outdated, and
Absolutely.
that we may want to create a new tradition, particularly this year.
And I think a lot of people are feeling that. And too, energetically,
Mhm.
you know, if we think of it in those terms, one of the things that we're doing big time, that all of us are doing, is healing ancestral energy, and excuse me, and healing ancestral baggage, and cutting cords with those patterns, right? And so what happens
Mhm.
is a lot of those traditions are going to fall away and not resonate with you anymore, and that's okay. They had
Yeah.
they had old energy that you need to get rid of, and like you said, it's time to maybe start new traditions, or just don't
Mhm.
worry about having a tradition at all, right? Like, just be, and just be in the energy, and just let whatever happens, you know, come. And it is a beautiful, like, I still am feeling that kind of beautiful, you know, Christmas for me, I've always kind of felt more of a community um minded energy in the collective, like people care more about each other, right, as you're buying gifts for other people. And
Hmm.
but you know, even this year, it's not about the physical, it's not about the toys, people. It's not about, you know, everybody talks about,
Yeah,
and granted,
completely.
this is a big
Yeah,
issue, and hopefully it's resolved soon. But you know, people talk about all these ships sitting out there that they won't let dock. You know, they got all these toys that everybody's going to want for let that go. Let that go. Your kids
yeah,
don't need any more
yeah,
toys, I guarantee you. I know, speaking from
yeah,
experience. And you know, you might be surprised. I told my kids, you know, this year things have to be very small. Whatever they want have to be small, because we're living
yeah.
in a fifth wheel, and we just have zero space. And so their lists, I swear, they gave me the things that they feel that they would really like, and a fraction of the size of their normal list. Like usually, you know, I get full sheets of paper, and you know, they just had a few things,
Yeah.
and they'll be thrilled, you know. And as a mom, you know, we like that. And you know, for me personally, Christmas has always held a special meaning. For whatever reason, I came into the world on Christmas Day, so I've always associated a
Hmm.
lot of my identity with Christmas time, and I love it. And I know Eartha actually has a really unique perspective on Christmas too, and I want her to chime in here too, but because we've talked about this before. And so there are some things that I feel like we're going to do this year because I'm not ready to let go. But then once we get into, like you said, this new year energy of February, March, I think I'll be ready to let go of it. And next
Hmm.
Christmas is going to look
Yeah,
very
I
different.
agree. Yeah, I agree.
So,
And particularly the religious beliefs that we're basing this holiday on, this is something that
yeah,
has to shift dramatically. I'm not saying that we can't do the holiday. We definitely can.
yeah.
It's
Or
just
honor
about
Yeshua,
changing the
right? Honoring
value.
Yeshua's
Exactly, on
existence.
Yeshua. Yeah. It's just about changing the value behind this, because his story is still very much one of pain and suffering.
Right. That's what they
So
want us to
why
focus
can't we
on. Yeah.
honor it in a more celebratory way of joy,
Absolutely.
right? The path
Absolutely.
that he has chosen. Um, and
Yes.
yeah,
Because,
and then weave new stories around this time of the year. And that actually, something funny, because the Christmas tree this year, normally we always do it on 24th. I did do it on the weekend, and I didn't think about the solstice, but I felt it's nice to have it ready for solstice. There's something about
yeah.
maybe even shifting all this focus from 24th or 25th of December. It doesn't, depending on what you're celebrating, like if you're celebrating Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Um, there's something about maybe deciding to shift it a little earlier and celebrate the start of winter, where we're going into self-care and self-love, and only by loving ourselves can we love others. So yeah, maybe there's
Yep.
something there to consider.
And that's a big one. That's a big one for people to really grasp. You know, we've been, it's been pounded into us our whole lives for generations that, you know,
Hmm.
the total opposite, really the total opposite. That you know, if you love other people, then you can love yourself. I mean, that's what I was
Hmm.
always. And you know, we think about too in the on the religious dogma. You know, I'm just going to go there because I don't think anybody here cares, or will be
Hmm.
offended. But you know, I was raised Catholic, and there's just a lot of, if you think about why they chose December 25th, right after the solstice, right after this energetic and spiritual, very magical time. They, and then what do? They focus on his death, his, you know, the way, yeah, well, they're, you know, they're, oh yeah, it's celebrating his birth. But I don't know about you guys, but anytime I think about Yeshua, it's the cross, because it was
Hmm.
pounded into me in Catholic
Yeah,
Church.
yeah,
And so they want to,
yeah,
oh, we're going to celebrate, but it's also really super sad, right,
exactly.
because of his whole
Yeah,
story and his
yeah.
end. And then, you know, they even pound home the, oh well, what was happening, what do they tell us anyway, what was happening when he was born is what's his name was trying to find
Herod.
him, and Herod was thank you was killing all the babies because he was
Mhm.
searching for him and couldn't have a couldn't have a savior come into the world. So it's like there's always that energy of fear behind it and grief. And so
Mhm.
it's almost like they came in and really derailed the solstice too on purpose. And
Yeah.
so I say it's time we take it back. I know, Eartha, do you have anything to say? I know you love the solstices.
Actually, I wanted to say I don't know if you guys read my article, but it doesn't sound like you did. But I wrote an article for Medium recently because I'm trying to write more articles
Did you send it to
and get
us?
myself. I put it on Facebook, so I should.
Oh,
I'll send
I
you
didn't
guys
see
the
it.
link. You have to have
Okay.
Medium to read. Well, I don't know actually if you have
John,
to
isn't
sign
that
up for
something
Medium to read.
we've looked into, John? I swear I have a Medium
Yeah,
account.
a little bit. Yeah, I think we've looked at Medium. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
Well
it's
done for
good.
getting your article up there.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Okay.
So I have a couple articles on there now. I'm trying to build a presence there, and but anyways, I started to write this article about solstice because you're right, Wendy. I love the
Yeah,
solstice. It's been in my heart forever and ever. Both solstices and the
right.
equinoxes. I've always loved them for some, and I've always thought that I'm like for some unknown reason, right? Like I never knew why I loved them so
Hmm.
much. But I started to write this article, and the article began as how to incorporate ways to celebrate the solstice, right?
Mm.
But when I started writing it, I realized that we all of our basically all of our traditions, even setting out Christmas cookies for Santa Claus, come from pagan
Hmm.
solstice traditions.
Yep.
Mm.
Setting out food for the spirit of hope, that is a pagan tradition.
Yep.
Mhm.
Having a Christmas tree and bringing it inside the house, pagan tradition. Lighting lights or candles or whatever and using that's pagan tradition. Again, all of those things. So I ended up saying the article is actually called like 5 things that you're already doing to
Ah.
celebrate the solstice.
Oh, I
And
love that.
yeah, and
Nice.
so it's yeah, so hopefully, so yeah, go on. I'll send you guys a link so that you can go on
Yeah, and I'll
and
share it on my
Medium
Facebook.
is unlike YouTube, where I've been like panicking for the last year and a half. Medium requires only 100 followers. So if any of you guys want to get on Medium and start blogging, I will follow you as well. It only requires 100 followers to start making the money.
Oh my
Mhm.
So
gosh. John,
yeah,
let's get our
yeah.
butts in
Not
gear.
that we all, need to focus on money all the time, but
No, no, no.
it's a
But
reality.
who isn't
Yeah.
looking for a nice, stream of income?
Yeah, and
Let's
I
Mhm.
do
just
it.
because I'm trying to write proposals for this book, and one of the recommendations that I watched this like free webinar, like how to get your book published thing,
Yeah,
and it
cool.
said, to start like putting portions of your book into blog articles, to like entice people to then buy your book once it gets published. So that's
Mm.
one of the reasons why I'm doing it too.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, that sounds great. I will
yeah.
Well
definitely
done.
So
find that and share it.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
So I
Yeah, the
posted
tree.
it on Facebook because it's just like
Okay.
my very favorite or my very first thing that I ever do. But I'll send you guys a link specifically to it. So
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I was reading this
yeah.
morning. I knew that the tree, that decorating the tree was a pagan thing, but I read this morning that
Mhm.
you bring it in your house to keep the tree spirits warm, to give them a warm place. And I was like, oh,
Oh.
I like that.
That's really nice.
That's sweet. Although I've
Yeah,
always had
yeah,
trouble with, I have gone with the fake trees only because I didn't like cutting a healthy tree. I didn't like that
right.
idea. I never liked that. And
But
so
if
tell
you
me,
see it as like a gift from Mother
sure,
Nature, that's Mother Nature's
Mm.
gift to you, right?
that's
Like, and
true.
then if you feel so bad about it, go plant another one in the spring. When Arbor
Yeah,
Day rolls around or whatever, repay that, gift to Gaia by planting one.
true. Yeah, it's a good
So,
idea. Because I hate the fake ones too. They're just so bad,
Yeah,
right.
material wise.
I don't
So,
like fig trees either. It's just a part of nature to bring it into your home and to decorate it. And you're giving it love, you're decorating it, you're making it look really pretty. And I think that gives back as well because you're putting
yes.
out all this beautiful energy of caring for it. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, energetically speaking, it makes a lot more sense too. When we look at everything energetically, everything always makes sense, right?
Sure. And there
Mhm.
is no
Mm.
death. There is no death. We're not killing the tree. We're, like you said, if it's a gift, it's still connected energetically, so it'll all come back around. That is true. And I've had people in my life along my awakening journey. The tree is my favorite part of this time
Mm-hmm.
of year.
Mm.
I don't have
Mhm.
one because I have nowhere to put it. I keep looking for like just a tiny tabletop, but I'll be honest with you, I don't even have a surface to put a little teeny one on. I mean, we're full up, taken
You know,
over.
we just moved into a new park, and I there's like 3 or 4 people that have their trees
I, I don't
out.
know.
Roll that, like just stick a tree outside. I didn't
Yeah,
think about
yeah.
that.
Well, I can't
But
here because of the
I
friggin'
thought
wind, but
well,
yeah, that's
maybe
a
I'll
great
do
idea.
that.
That is a great
Oh
idea.
yeah, the
It's
wind.
so
Yeah.
windy here. It's just
Oh,
ridiculous. We got people's foam
get a
board skirting
garland.
blowing all over. Yeah, I got something. I've got
Get
the stockings up. I just because that's easy. You can hang them on a wall. Um,
right.
but yeah, or 3M hooks on the wall. But there've been the funny thing about the tree. I had somebody almost ruin it for me because I encountered somebody who's very anti-establishment, very not so much into the energy, but more just anti-government, right? Anti whatever the world is, and talking about how well when you decorate a Christmas tree, you're worshiping Nimrod's penis, and he's a
What?
pagan god, and that represents his manhood, and he was a bad guy, and I was like, no, like immediately I was like, thank you for your input,
No.
but I believe in intention. You know what I mean? Like, if I never once thought,
Mhm.
oh, praise Nimrod's penis, then I'm not praising Nimrod's penis.
Right.
Intention is
Right.
everything.
Mhm.
But I still think about that and kind of laugh about it because I'm like, the people who think that the symbol is everything, like
Right.
they've hijacked
Mhm.
everything. We used to think the five-pointed star, oh, that's a bad thing. Even the Nazi symbol was, they
Mm.
kidnapped that. It was not a
Yep.
negative symbol. The number 666,
Exactly.
Yeah.
not a bad thing. They've tried to hijack
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
every number
Mm.
13. They've tried to ruin everything that's truly magical and spiritual, and raises our frequency, and really is like 13. There's a reason there aren't even floors. They'll skip the 13th floor in buildings because 13 is that portal to the divine feminine. Like, all
Mm-hmm.
you have to do is tune into the number. And so yeah, they've hijacked everything and tried to ruin it. And you know what? We're on to you now, Nimrod, or
That's right.
whatever. Whatever. I'm sure Nimrod is fine. It was somebody's perspective that just kind of stuck with me. But yeah, intention is everything. I always have loved the tree because I
Mm.
love trees. And I honestly would never I would only put lights on it if it were up to me. I wouldn't cover it in. I love my kids, but I hated putting their homemade shit from elementary school on the tree because it ruined it for me. I'll hang it elsewhere, but the tree, I would just put lights on it and call it good. It's my favorite
Right.
thing. So yeah, what other beliefs? There's a lot of beliefs, I think,
Well,
constructs
Wendy,
around. Go ahead.
I was going to say you need a visit to a public tree then. Like, go visit
Yeah,
a public tree and, and connect with it there. Connect with Gaia there. That
sure.
way,
It's a good
that way
idea.
you're still feeling
Oh.
that connection. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
like that. And what's funny is Enid, Oklahoma, where we lived before we moved here. I don't know how this happened, but Enid, Oklahoma, most people have never heard of it. This year has the world's largest Christmas tree.
Mm.
Like, that's their
Beautiful.
claim to fame. Never before, not while we were there, did they have this, but now they have got the world's, I think it's tallest maybe, but I don't remember, but it's like and I was like, what? Like, how is this happening? So if I could go back there, but yeah, I should find, I'm sure, like, City Hall, that's usually where the community tree is. But there's a lot of And maybe we can speak to that a little bit. There's a lot of negativity around displaying these what
Mm-hmm.
people perceive as religious symbols, when really the tree is so not. It is anything but there's a lot of talk about not doing any, not doing the nativity scenes, not doing the trees, the lighted trees at all in the on the public spaces, the city halls, the that kind of thing. And so I know a lot of a lot of people are in uproar. And so I don't know, I feel like that's part of the transition. And I feel like it's part of, like, Earth, I think before you came in, we were talking about how, for me anyway, I'm kind of holding on to some of the traditions I've had this year. And then I really
Mm,
feel like I'm going to be able to let go. And next Christmas is going to look very
yeah.
different.
Mm.
I'm letting go of having so many presents under the tree for all the kids and all the decorations and just the have-tos of the
Mm-hmm.
season that my
Should be a
kids.
choice,
Right,
You
right. And I want it to be
do it as a
more,
choice.
like, I would love it to
Yeah.
be more about, like, I've always wanted to just decorate a tree outside
Mm-hmm.
and celebrate around that tree. Like, I think it's from honestly think I think it's from the Grinch. Like, they have that big
Mm-hmm.
tree outside that they sing, they hold hands, and the Who's and Whoville, and they sing around it. And I love that scene. I always feel like that should be what Christmas is, instead of holed up in our houses and opening, things that will break
Yeah.
within a week, things that will die, things that will, it's like, what are
Yeah.
we doing?
And it is not about the presents. Like presents should always come from the heart. There is such a pressure at Christmas time to buy presents. Um, where I think we're moving towards, when you see something and you think of someone and you want to give it, then you give it. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter if it's birthday, if it's Christmas,
Yeah.
like it's always like we need a certain occasion to give someone a gift.
Yes. And to
Why is that
feel
so? Why
that,
can't we
yeah, and to feel
just
that
give?
energy toward them of just wanting to do something nice or whatever. Why do we reserve that, being compassionate humans, for certain times of the year?
Hmm. Yeah. You shouldn't need a holiday to give a present, and it should also not be forced. If I don't know what to give this person at this particular time of the year, then should I be forcing myself? You know,
Right,
Maybe
right.
it's something to
Yeah.
consider.
That's true too,
Well,
and
and
a
then,
big,
and what you have to do in order to make that shift, though, what do you have to do in order to make that shift? You have to be okay with it yourself,
yep,
within yourself, because nobody
Yeah,
is going
true.
to give Bianca permission to not buy her mother a Christmas gift. Certainly not her
true,
mother.
true.
Certainly not, even if her mother, sort of kind of pretended to, oh no, it's fine, you don't have to give me a present.
Right, right,
Does Bianca still feel guilt about that? Yes, she does. So that's the thing, is like, we have to realize we have to take ownership for these things. We have to take ownership for these changes. We have to be the ones who are saying, no, I'm not subscribing to society's effed up way of dealing with this holiday anymore. I'm not doing it,
yes,
So,
amen.
let's go take a walk outside. If you want something from me, what I want to give you is my time. What I want to give you is my love. So I will give you that in the form of
Right.
XYZ, whatever way I feel,
And I'll do that
right?
every day, or whenever the hell
Exactly.
I'm not going to look at a calendar. Well, I want to buy
Right.
him this, but Christmas is in a month, so maybe I'll wait. Like, that's just so. It's interesting. It's interesting how we have come into this
Hmm.
way of being.
And we're
Right.
teaching it to the children, of course,
Yeah.
because they expect their presents for Christmas. And if they didn't get any, then they're going to be left out maybe at school, because all of their friends got something,
Right.
right? So
And if they don't
I
get the
think it's
certain game that everybody's getting, right, or
exactly, yeah,
something,
I
yeah.
think it's the most difficult for children because, to be honest, like for us, if we were to say we're not, doing gifts for Christmas, we're just doing, as you say, like maybe a little gift during the year, then I'm sure my family would be absolutely fine with this. Um, because we don't like this pressure anyways, and we do give it other, like attention and little things also during the year. So yeah, I think it
I
starts
think
with the
that's
two.
something that we also need to let go of, though. And that's something that
Mm,
I have had to
Sure.
do majorly this year. Like if there's one lesson that I can point to this year that I had to learn for myself, it's that I cannot expect to live my life on the reactions of my children. I am
mm,
my own sovereign being, and sovereignty means that I have to honor myself at all times. And
mm,
I had to leave the house that my children are in. I no longer see my children every day. And it is one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do, ever,
Yeah.
let alone not buying Christmas presents for them. Like
Right.
that's, like that to me is like, don't give your children the don't give your expectation of your children the power over yourself.
Right.
Your children love you no matter what, and they will love you if you know so they get teased at school for 2 days.
Right.
Are you
Yeah.
there to tell them I love you anyway? Yes. If you are, then that's what they need. Children need you and your love. That's
Yeah.
what they need above anything else. And it can be given from anywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Definitely.
that's another really big thing is like, yeah, people think like, well, we can't change these traditions because of the kids. We can't do this because of the kids. In 2020, we stopped sending our children to school, all of us. And
Something we never thought
you know
we'd
what
do.
right? And most parents panicked and were like, oh my God, my kid is going to be behind in school. How on earth is your kid going to be behind in school when no kids were
Everybody.
going to school?
Yeah. That was my thing too. It was
you
so
know,
funny. Oh, they're going to be behind the rest of the world. No, the rest of the world shut down too. Are you worried they're going to be behind the other 12-year-olds on Venus? Like, what are we worried about
right?
now?
Yeah, it's just ridiculousness. Yeah,
But you know what it
it's
really
the
was is the
the
people
thought
who
process.
had just really had no idea what to do with their kids during the day now. They're like, well, now what do I do?
Yeah,
Because that is one of the rude awakenings when you switch. If you've always homeschooled, then you don't have this perspective. But my older two were public school, and then I'm homeschooling the younger two, and it was definitely a very big learning curve. As far, okay, they're always here, they don't leave.
right.
They don't go for 9 hours a day, and you have to figure that out. You have to figure that out. But at the same time, look at all the people who kept homeschooling after schools opened, because they're like,
Yeah,
hey, I kind of like this. Like, they got into a groove, and they figured it out, and their kids were happier. And I'm not saying
yeah.
it's all
We
kids,
don't have to
not
get up in
everybody. Yeah.
the morning.
Yeah, right. It's nice. I had a friend tell me, she tells people, I
But
ask her,
yeah,
why do you
so
homeschool? And she
there's
says, because
all these
I
things
don't
that
like to get up in the morning.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we've let, like,
it's
you're
like
right, we've let go of a lot of big stuff already. So this is going to be,
right.
we've opened the door.
We
We've
just
opened the door.
we got to keep remembering that we already know how to do this. We
Yeah.
already know how to let go. We already know how to change. We are the change makers.
Right. Well, and
That's
with this,
why we're here.
yeah. But with the school thing, it felt so abrupt and forced on everybody, that now it's time to, I feel like that's kind of the gateway into, okay, now you actually have to realize that you can control these, that you are the boss of all of this. Yes, that school thing was kind of thrust upon you, but now what other big changes can you facilitate in your life? Like, look at what happened by, all of a sudden there was no school to send them to. Nothing you can do about that. But what other big changes can you make? And looking at, I was going to say too, our dream then is what, right? Is our kids, when our kids are having kids, and I know Eartha, you'll agree with me. We want the mothers, because we have boys. So whoever our boys have kids with, we want these women to display sovereignty and freedom from fucking day one. And the children will never
Right.
know any different. And see, the only reason it's so hard for us to be sovereign when we have kids at home or whatever, or for you to have left that, that comfort situation, right, Eartha, is because we were in that old construct for so long. And the kids grew up in
Right.
that, essentially. So my dream is, I want my grandkids that's just going to be a normal, that's just going to be the way we do things is, mom's on a month sabbatical somewhere, right? Or mom's on, we're getting back to this village taking care of the kids. It's not all on mom and dad. We got to get back to the small, to the
Right.
community. And I'm not talking necessarily blood family, right? Like we know from experience, all four of us, is that for the most part, biological family is not soul family. And that's just
Right.
kind of a painful truth. But yeah, that's my dream, is that these women, these daughters-in-law that I will have, or, whatever, I don't even want to impose the construct of a legal marriage onto my children, right? I just want them to live their lives. And, if they want to be parents, great. But I want these women, these moms of my grandchildren, to know what it's like to maintain their sovereignty even when they have kids, and display that for the kids. But I think
Yeah,
Christmas, like
exactly.
you look at Christmas, and it's just one of those things that I think, and I hesitate to say it, but I do feel like it's going to be absorbed by the solstice eventually. And
Yeah,
we
that's
will
what I
Yes.
was
get,
saying
yeah.
before as well. Mhm.
Yeah, you were. That's what made me
Yeah,
think of it, I think. I've just been holding on to it. But yeah, it'll be a big
yeah,
solstice celebration. And that'll be
and
Yay!
great. That'll be
Which
you
is
know,
great.
today, by the way, people.
Today,
It's
can you believe that? We know what we're doing. Trying to plan stuff on the
today.
solstice. Yeah, I was saying it's really windy here, Eartha, today, and
mhm.
I think that's appropriate for the solstice.
Yes.
So
Winds of
blow it
change.
away, right? Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
For shizzle.
For
Mm-hmm.
shizzle.
I'm not allowed to say the rest of that phrase, but I like for shizzle. So yeah, does anybody want
I'm not
to?
even allowed to say for shizzle.
You're not? Who told you that?
No, my kids. Oh,
Oh,
my children. I'm always
oh,
like, I said, what did I say? That's fresh.
oh
I said,
goodness.
that's fresh the other day, like something was fresh. And Alon's like, you can't say that, Mom. That's not a mom saying.
Oh
That's a
my
kid
God.
saying.
Yeah. There there's a list, apparently. My older two like to remind me. I'm not allowed to say totes. I'm not allowed to say
Totes,
probs.
yeah.
I'm not allowed to say that's so fire. We can't say that either, Eartha, so don't say that. That's so
Yeah,
fire.
no. Nope.
So I say it all the time just to reinforce the fact
Yep.
that it does in fact sound kind of ridiculous coming out of my mouth. But it's fun. It's totes fun. That's so fire. Fresh. That's
It's
fresh. What's the
fresh.
other thing the kids are saying now for something that's really good? Isn't this interesting? I want to do like maybe a whole video on this sometime, is where we take these words that have had a negative definition and make them mean something really good. So now they say broken if something's really good. If it's really
Really?
good, they say
Oh,
broken.
okay.
Yeah. Oh, well, these characters in the video game. Oh, that character's
Broken.
broken. And I was like, interesting.
Oh,
Isn't that interesting?
yeah. That is interesting.
Words have always
I keep
fascinated me.
getting like where they'll be like, I'm being triggered by such and such, or this is, they'll say words that like I just learned when I
Right.
awakened
Right.
spiritually, and they're like, light years ahead of me now. All of a sudden,
Yep.
being like, this triggers me, and I'm like, what?
That's funny. I think it's funny how trigger became a mainstream word very quickly,
Yeah,
and then became, something to mock and make fun of. So,
right. Of course.
So we'll have to find her.
Uh,
We'll have to find a new one now. We'll have to, but they'll just take all of it, so it's all good.
that's what happens.
Whatever we
We are
do.
we are a collective
Yep.
human, right? Like we're one source of energy and knowledge, and that's how we function on this planet.
Mhm.
Yep.
So
And once a
yeah,
word is put out there in the ether, it's up for grabs.
yep,
Just like an invention, just like they say there's a lot of people say the point in time where they started to believe in the connection and the energy on the planet was when you do your research and you realize that Alexander Graham Bell was not the only person to invent the telephone. There were like three others scattered across the world back when there was no communication
simultaneously, right?
simultaneously. And that is
Yep,
true for just about everything because the information was out there and more than one person can grab it and do something
yep.
with it. And I was reading, I can't remember, one of the Elizabeth, what's her name, Gilbert, I think is her name. No, I can't remember. Anyway, she's one of those motivational, feminine. She's the one that eat, pray, love. That's her, about her.
Oh, right, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
can't remember her name, but she was talking about how she had this book in the works for forever and had all the outline and all the notes, and it was about this very specific thing. She never did anything with it. She intended to, but she never really did anything with it. Then all of a sudden she's talking to a friend, and the friend said, "Oh, I just finished this book and it's going to be," and it was exactly the topic. And she knew she'd never told the friend about it. She'd never told anybody about it,
Wow.
but she just figured, you know what? I didn't do anything with it, so somebody else took it and ran with it. Why not?
Yep,
She goes,
yeah,
that's when I realized it was never mine,
yeah.
that it was meant
Nothing,
from the beginning. Yeah,
yeah, nothing is ours. We
that's true.
Nothing is ours, and everything is ours. Nothing is ours, and everything is ours.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's where free will comes in.
Yeah.
Choose to do it. Okay, who wants to wrap up about? I know we kind of got a little off track. I guess Christmas. I mean, I think it's so different for each of us, and we all have our own traditions. We're all celebrating it very differently this year. For me personally, and Eartha, and John, for the most part, we're celebrating it very differently from any other year in our lives. It
Mhm.
looks
Mm.
very different, and so
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's just one of those things that I'm starting to feel I was so attached to it. It's attachment, right? It's attachment to, like, there's a reason people are putting their Christmas decorations up earlier and earlier and earlier because this time has such a beautiful energy, and life is challenging right now as we transition, and they're needing that
Mhm.
feel good energy. And so they're putting, they were putting it up, before Halloween. Some people had their stuff up because they just wanted to feel good. And my thing is, hey, if that makes you feel good, why do you ever take them down? If
Right? Just
lights
leave it
on your
up.
house make you feel good, if a lit tree in your house makes you feel good, why ever take it
Something you're
down?
like,
I always
mm.
hated taking my tree down. I was like, oh, I don't ever want to take it down. So yeah, anybody else want to say anything and we can wrap this up? Christmas.
Yes, it's just Christmas brings up all sorts of all sorts of opinions and stories and kind of insights. So yeah, it's been very interesting, this chat.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's Christmas, like I know Earth and I have had this conversation, like she doesn't necessarily have the beautiful, fabulous perspective of it that I have always had because of my connection with it. So for some people it's a very painful time of year.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not all the
absolutely. Mm.
it's not all the, unicorns and rainbows. It's not all, the fat man bringing presents.
Yeah,
Mhm.
true.
It's a very emotional time.
Yeah. When you are the child growing up that doesn't get Christmas presents when all of your friends do, that
Yeah.
affects your whole entire life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like from the beginning, that has
Yeah.
affected me.
Yeah,
So
it shapes
yeah,
you, it
it's
shapes your personality and your
yeah.
beliefs, and yeah.
But guess what? I am alive and I am here and I am strong, and I know that that doesn't ultimately matter. And that is what I
Right.
want my children to know too.
Right.
I don't want them
Absolutely.
to feel a lifetime of pain because they didn't get a Christmas present, you know?
Or they didn't get
That's
the
just
same
silliness.
thing that so and the neighbor boy got or whatever. We're
Right.
releasing this keeping up with the Joneses energy, and I don't know if that might be an American thing. I don't know if you, Bianca and John, if you guys have, if it's maybe a different thing where you are, but keeping up with the Joneses started in the 80s, where if you didn't have the best car on the block, you were doing something wrong. And then everybody else,
Yeah.
oh, well, he bought this, I better go buy one. Oh, well, they bought a new house, we better go buy one. It was all this, it's competition. And Christmas has a lot,
Yeah.
it contains a lot of that energy, I think. Oh, well, we got to get the best, and I know people like this who they find out what you're doing for Christmas so that they can take that and do better because they have to be better. They have to do more than you. And then they'll post it in detail on Facebook. This is what I did for my kids. Oh, and we made gingerbread houses today, and we fucking crocheted our own stockings. And you just want to, it's like, okay. Like it's just such
Who are
a
you doing this for?
competitive, exactly. And why? Why are you running yourself into the ground? So, yeah, good stuff. I do feel like
so
it's
the
really
takeaway is stop doing anything that you don't want to do. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it.
Yep, that's the big message. Pretty much 2021.
That's the takeaway.
We're going out with a bang with that message. I think that is perfect. Yeah, because that's exactly what we were supposed to learn this year. And stop feeling bad about it.
Yeah.
About wanting things, about wanting to change your life, about wanting freedom. That's where we're all headed.
It's natural.
So 2022 is going to be interesting.
Woohoo!
I'm excited. Well, thank you all for being here. I'll go ahead and wrap it up and everybody say goodbye. And this is going on YouTube. It's going to go on our DFAC channel, Eartha.
Yay!
So I'll share it. So make sure you share it when you see it. I'll send probably the link in the group so everybody has it.
Perfect.
But I'm going to find your article for sure and get that out there.
I'll link it to the group because I'm on it. I'm 100 followers.
Yeah.
That is so easy. I can get 100 followers.
100 is easy. You're right. You're absolutely right. How many friends do you have on Facebook? Like 1,000. You just need 10% of them.
If every friend of mine on Facebook went on and clicked that button, it would be done.
You'd be making some money. Cool.
Yay!
All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We will see you next time.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Celebrate however you want, whatever feels good. We will see you on the flip side. Happy solstice today.